So obviously my life went through a whole different sort of change from there on. And every time I'd study Buddhism and it got hard, I'd go, right, I'd do a bit of mindfulness. So I always say that I fell into mindfulness because it was my way to get through the Buddhist teachings without getting overwhelmed, okay? So I am a Buddhist now. I'm a practicing Buddhist. I think it's very important for me in my life. I think it's pretty big for me, and I kind of feel that it's really touched me deeply, and it has affected how I see the world. But it's also helped me understand that life is really not about you, but what you can do for others. So everything that I do, I try to do to relieve the pain that I see in others, however I can, okay? And because of that, I feel really grateful for the pain that I've experienced, because without the pain that I've experienced throughout my life, I wouldn't have been able to connect. So I spent a lot of time working in cancer support. I've written some stories of what I experienced working with people coming to the end of their lives in particular. You know, I was asked by a few of the ladies that I worked with if I would be with them towards the end of their lives, because a lot of people don't want to be around that. I was asked some pretty hard questions, because what I've learned from people that are facing that in their lives is they want somebody to talk to them and let them say what their real fears are, not just gloss over. So that's been really profound and deep for me to have that experience of working with people, and I continue to do that now as well. Don't ask me how. I always end up finding places like hospice. I mean, I've moved out of London, and then suddenly the hospice is next to me going, yeah, we're interested, right? So here we go for a next round of whatever it is that I've got to do. So that's kind of about me and what made me write the book. So I'm gonna tell you what made me write it. So after my divorce, I started going to the Buddhist centre in southeast London, and what we say in Buddhism is people come to Buddhism seeking refuge. Refuge meaning help. I don't know how to cope with this. Basically, don't know how to cope with life or some kind of trauma that we've gone through. And I was going every single weekend, and I was going and I was listening to the teachings, and I was talking to people. And one day I said to one of my mindfulness teachers, who was a Buddhist and actually lived at the centre, I said, well, what do I do? Because I come here and nobody ever asks me why I'm here. So nobody's come to say, are you a Buddhist? So you just turn up. I just literally turn up, nobody asks me anything. And I said to him, but I want to move it forward, you know, how do I do this? So he said, oh, right, okay. In Buddhism, we never ask somebody to become a Buddhist or when they're going to become a Buddhist, but if you feel that's where your calling is, make an appointment to see the Lama. So I made an appointment to see Lama Zanmo, who's my teacher, and the first thing she said to me when I walked in was, this isn't the first time you've met the Dharma. Now this is going to be controversial to some people, but for me it makes sense. Yeah, Panel's shaking his head. It's not the first time you've met the Dharma, and I went, yeah, you know what? I don't think it is, because it all made sense. So one of the things that we learn as practicing Buddhists is what we call the Bodhisattva vows, which we take, is that we will do whatever is in our personal means to offer help and relieve the suffering of others. So why did I write my book? Because I think the book is, in a way, captures a view of how to live a life knowing we suffer, because we can't avoid that, right? But being okay when we suffer, which again is quite a difficult concept for people to get. Okay? So, what I'm going to say is this. Everything that I say to you is from my perspective. So I'm just going to ask you for a moment, I'm not going to talk just for a moment. I want you to just go inside yourself and just have a check-in with what's going on with you now. What's the thought train so far with what I've said?